Canadian Northern Railways had negotiated with the city of Vancouver to build today's Pacific Central Station in Falls Creek. The city would take what was at one point a giant muddy lagoon and make it habitable so that they could build a passenger station in its place, hence the area's name, Falls Creek. And it was actually the first building in this entire area. Now, the city also gave Canadian Northern land between West Georgia and Burrard Street on the promise to build a luxury hotel in the city. However, World War I saw all Canadian railways outside of the Canadian Pacific go bankrupt, including the Grand Trunk Pacific, and the government would consolidate them all into a new corporation that we know today as Canadian National, or better known as CN. At the conclusion of World War I, Canadian National would turn its attention to fully restoring passenger service, and they would complete the unfinished Falls Creek passenger station in 1919. Now, hey, remember that promise to build a luxury hotel by the Canadian Northern Railway? Well, Canadian National would dust off Grand Trunk Pacific's almost 2-decade-old plans to build the Royal York in Toronto, using those blueprints to map out their new chateau-style luxury hotel here in Vancouver. And don't worry, I will have a separate video on the Royal York in this series. And in December of 1928, work on the present hotel commenced. They would break ground. Now, the exterior of the hotel was officially completed in December of 1931, which went up pretty fast for that time. But the stock market crash of 1932, followed by the Great Depression, would bring production to the interior of the hotel to a complete dead stop, despite the exterior looking like the hotel was complete. And the interior of the hotel would remain untouched for almost 10 years until 1938, when the city of Vancouver would step in, and they would bring Canadian Pacific Railway on board to finance the completion of the hotel in an attempt to create jobs in an already crippled economy, and more importantly, complete the hotel in time for King George's war tour across Canada the following year in 1939. Now, Canadian National would operate the hotel, but it would be rebranded as a Canadian Pacific Hotel since they financed the completion of it. And upon opening on May 28th of 1939, the hotel began serving both Canadian Pacific's long-distance passengers at Waterfront Station and Canadian National's passengers at Pacific Central Station. And it was the tallest building in the city, surpassing the Marine Building, which still stands today, as you see here, which is not too far off the waterfront. But when you compare it to the skyline then versus now, wow, like it is crazy to think that you used to be able to see the entire waterfront from the Hotel Vancouver, but now you only see a sliver of the waterfront. Now, 1949 saw Canadian Pacific demolishing their Hotel Vancouver across the street, and this would also usher in a new era of destroying the iconic hotels and stations that they built over a century ago, including the Royal Alexandra Hotel in Winnipeg, which absolute shame that these hotels aren't around today. Now, the Hotel Vancouver was designed with a heavily tilted copper roof, which upon completion was dark brown, but as it began to oxidize over the years from air exposure, has settled into its final shade of what I can only describe as a turquoise green. And the hotel even at one point in time had a giant neon sign on the rooftop, but for whatever reason they decided to remove it in the 1970s. Now, in 1988, Canadian Pacific would buy out Canadian National's share of the hotel, and 2001 saw Canadian Pacific form Fairmont Hotels, rebranding all their hotels to Fairmont, making this now the Fairmont Hotel Vancouver. Despite being buried by the countless box glass apartments that surround it in today's Vancouver skyline, the Hotel Vancouver reaches back to the French Renaissance for inspiration behind its carved stonework and the gargoyles atop its pitched roof, while looking to the future for its luxurious interiors, and also maintaining that historic charm that we all know and love.